Hello, my name is Anthony Spanos, and today we are going to be talking about exactly where you can look to find customers to prospect, the hottest and warmest opportunities available to you when it comes to outreach and sales prospecting, as well as the coldest opportunities. And we're going to rank order them, and I will give you a clear and concise breakdown of exactly where you should be looking and need to be looking in order to find the best possible opportunities to create business from thin air, which is what we are all about on this channel, not relying on your dealership's leads. And one of the most important steps to that process is looking in the correct location. If you don't know who I am, my name is Anthony Spanos. I started in sales when I was 19 years old. I made $190,000 my first year on the sales floor, made finance manager by 23 and general sales manager by 24. Now I help salespeople and dealerships full time when it comes to sales coaching and consulting so they can sell more cars and scale their income. So let's jump right into it. There are four main categories that I consider when I'm speaking about watering holes, as I like to call them, for sales prospects. I've made the analogy in the past, and you can find the video on my channel where I compare prospecting and sales to a hunter and advertising and marketing to a trapper. When I carry this analogy further and I talk about where you can find, right, the animals, the prospects in order to hunt them and collect them into your business and through outreach, the watering hole analogy is a pretty strong one that I think gives a great visual illustration of what I'm talking about. So if you can imagine animals gathering at a watering hole so that they can drink and stay alive, this is a location where all sorts of different animals will come together to sustain themselves, right? And there are different types of watering holes that may attract different types of animals, and some may be more prosperous and popular than others. So as a salesperson, you want to make sure that you are going to the correct watering holes and the more prosperous, more popular ones first before you move on to the less popular, less prosperous options later. That way you can maximize your opportunity. You're spending your time in the most efficient way possible. We want to work smarter before we work harder. Obviously, harder and smarter at the same time is very important for peak levels of success, but it is in your best interest to prioritize where you are spending your time. That way, you can be as efficient as possible and not waste any of your time with maybe clients that are less likely to convert into sales. So, what is number one on the list? Well, lease customers. When their lease is coming to an end, they have to make a decision. This means that they will always be your hottest prospect. Now, different stores will handle lease ends in different ways. Some stores have a dedicated employee that handles lease ends, and it is their job to call those people and nurture them and convert them into sales. If that's the case, then this won't apply to you. However, a lot of stores will just allow lease ends to come into the dealership, and there's no sort of dedicated follow-up system in place for them at the store level, which means that in most cases, they are fair game for a salesperson. Now, if the person who sold them the lease initially is doing their job and is a good salesperson, they will have remained in contact with their client and have established an ongoing relationship, and then they will obviously have nurtured that to the point of another sale, which is what a salesperson should be doing. So kudos to them. And you don't want to be skating them and undercutting them and taking that client from them. But most salespeople don't do that, which means that, like I said, in most cases, these customers are going to be fair game. So if it's possible at your location, and I would certainly check if you don't know, you should go to your sales manager, your internet manager, your BDC manager, whoever it is that handles your CRM and has access to it and understands how it works. If you can get a list of lease end customers that will be happening in the next 6 to 8 months. So you do want to head these off a little bit. Give yourself a little bit of a lead time on them. That way you can be the first one to the punch and really start to nurture this coming up to the point that they have to make a decision right around the time frame when they would start needing to think about it, right? So if they're a year or more out, it's likely not top of mind for them. However, once they're 8 months, 6 months, 4 months or less to the date of their lease end, they are going to be thinking about, what do I do? when my lease ends because I have to do something, right? And that is exactly why these customers are the best opportunity, because per their lease contract, they have to make a decision. They either have to return the vehicle, sell the vehicle, trade the vehicle, or buy the vehicle and purchase it, buy out their lease contract. Now, this puts you in an excellent position because if you are calling as the dealership, they will pick up the phone. 9 out of 10 times, these people will interact with the dealership to make one of those choices and not directly with the manufacturer. Obviously, there are exceptions to this rule, but in most cases, these customers appreciate the support that the dealership provides them through this process. And leases can be confusing to a lot of customers. Surprisingly, many of them don't really understand how a lease works completely or understand their lease contract when they sign it. They just really like the payment. And then when it's coming to the end of their term, they need to be reminded or re-educated on what their choices are. And that can be an overwhelming process for a lot of people. So if you, as the wonderful prospecting salesperson who is doing their job and reaching out to customers, comes in to the equation and solves this problem for them, they will be so relieved and so happy that you were there to take this weight off of their shoulders. It is mental stress, it is mental weight to have to make a decision like this and navigate the new terrain of trading or altering their lease when it's coming to a close. So you are actually providing a valuable service to your customers by contacting them well before their lease ends so that you can prepare them for the decision. Now, I'll talk about how to do this exactly in WordTrax in another video, but just know that these are your best opportunity. You should absolutely do everything you can to get all of the lease customers that your store has data for. Just become that person and own those clients. And those are just guaranteed sales waiting there for you. So you definitely do not want to let them slip through the cracks. And I would pay as much attention as you can to these customers first and foremost before anything else. Now, moving on to the second best watering hole, second best source of customers in your dealership ecosystem that you can choose to reach out to when you are doing your prospecting activities. This is going to be the service drive, okay? Customers that have appointments with your service department are coming into the store no matter what. They're going to be there anyway. This means that they are primed for a transaction. Half of the work is done already. When you are making prospecting calls, the biggest battle is just getting them into the building, setting an appointment. So for service customers, they've already done that. The service writer, the service advisor has done the job. The dealership has already covered all of the marketing and nurturing and lead up to them coming into the building. Now, I understand that it's for a different service, no pun intended, which is the service department getting their vehicle maintained. However, they still will be in the dealership, and magic happens when they are in the store. A certain number of service customers every single month trades in their vehicle just because they are at the dealership. If they're waiting and they don't leave the store for their service appointment to be completed, they're spending 2 or 3 hours just sitting around, and that's what showrooms are for. I'll let you in on a little secret. The business model for these new car dealerships is set up this way on purpose. Getting the customer into the building for their vehicle's maintenance puts them directly in front of the new shiny product that you have on your showroom floor. And it works. This will convert passively. And the dealership loves that. I mean, they're doing great business by setting things up this way, the way that they have. And you as a salesperson can take advantage of this fact. Okay, they've literally the bases are loaded for you in this scenario. So you don't want to just be missing the ball when it comes over the plate here. Okay. If a certain percentage of these customers are going to be converting into sales every single month, you can guarantee that you are the one that nets every single one of those by calling them the day before their appointment or a couple of days before their appointment. It's easy, really. Let's say 10 service appointments at your dealership convert every single month just because they're in the store and they are standing in your showroom and their mind starts working and they decide to trade in. Okay. If your dealership is mid to large in terms of size, then those 10 appointments are just going to be scattered among your entire sales team, because whoever essentially greets them on the showroom floor as an up is going to be the one that gets that sale. Now, if you are the one calling every single service appointment every single day before they come into the store and speaking to them and actually teeing up this interaction yourself, you can guarantee that you catch all 10 of those people. So this is a huge opportunity, huge boost in your volume every single month that you shouldn't be ignoring. And the good news is it is a recurring list of people. It comes up every single day. Many of your CRMs, depending on where you're at, will serve you up the service drive appointments on a silver platter. The CRM I used when I was on the floor had a button that I clicked. Customer name, appointment time, customer phone number, vehicle getting serviced, when they bought that vehicle from us, all their notes and records from when that purchase took place initially. Okay? Easy, simple. Do not ignore this. Now, there is a limited number of appointments that's going to be coming through the service department every single day. So it's a cakewalk to just knock out that list of people. Just call all of them. You're going to want to go same day and next day. Some people will schedule same day. So it's something you want to keep up on and watch and keep your eye on. But you can just clear that whole list of people, however many it is, 15, 20, 30, 40 people. Okay. And then move on to other sorts of prospecting activity. So this is something that you want to put at the top of your list. Make sure that if you don't get anything else done, you at least get these done because they are warm, they are hot, they're going to be in front of you either way. It's an easy pitch when it comes to an appointment, when it comes to offering an appraisal. And why would you not take a swing at loaded bases? Okay, so enough on that. Moving on to the third watering hole that you can choose to prospect your customers from. This is going to be previously sold clients from your dealership. I like to call these anniversary calls because they bought vehicles from the past. Now, when I was on the sales floor, these were literally anniversary calls. They would show up as tasks in our CRM on the anniversary date of when they purchased the vehicle. Now, it doesn't really matter that much. You are, however, going to want to be targeting a specific section of this demographic of people when you're making these calls. So the magic number here is 2 to 5 years. 2, not 1 to 5 years, right? 2 to 5 years. Because statistically, this is the time frame that people trade their vehicles in most often. So you don't want to be calling people that just bought 6 months ago, okay? Not that there's anything wrong with that. You're certainly welcome to. And I mean, take everything you can get, right? But we're talking about prioritizing here. Good, better, best. We want to be going after the best, hottest prospects, the most popular watering holes, right? Before we move on to the other ones. So 2 to 5 years old, meaning they bought a vehicle from your store 2 to 5 years ago. I would actually start oldest and then go towards newest. Again, just because of likelihood, they're probably starting to get closer to that point where they either A, want to, or B, need to trade in their vehicle for something else. So once you get through the lease end customers and the service drive appointments for the next day, then you just move on to previously sold customers. Now, this is where most salespeople will stop because this list will never run out. There's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people in this list if you're at, an average sized dealership, because you have likely decades of business and data that you can draw from when it comes to people that have been at your dealership before. So most salespeople, especially if this process is working for you and you're really on a roll, you're setting a lot of appointments, you're also handling walk-ins, phone calls, internet leads, etc. You're going to be too busy to ever really exhaust this source of clients. But if you do, there is more that we can go on to. However, for most people, this is kind of the bottom line, where you can knock out the shorter lists, lease end, service drive, and then move on to this kind of never-ending list of previous clients. And that's where you're going to want to do most of your prospecting because they have an existing relationship with the dealer. And that's why I recommend these, because they already know who you guys are. You guys is in your store, right? There's a certain element of trust established there already. They'll recognize the number if you're calling from a dealership phone, so the pickup rate's a little bit higher. They may assume or wonder if you're calling from the service department, which means your pickup rate is higher, right? There's plenty of reasons why you would want to call people that have already bought from you before you call people that have never bought from you. And that's actually a perfect segue into the fourth and final watering hole or opportunity list of clients that you can prospect from, which is going to be leads, contacts that have never purchased from the dealership. Okay. So these are dead leads, orphaned clients, just any customer in your system that hasn't bought something from you. Now, depending on how recently they were leads, you may want to prioritize these over other customers. Although at that point, they would likely fall into the follow-up category, which I've left out of this video because I'm talking about going out and finding these watering holes that customers are at. Follow-up is just part of your daily, routine, part of your daily responsibility. Now, as a kind of little side note here, follow-up is always above all four of these, okay? Always do your follow-up. Number one, best, absolute prospecting opportunity, bar none, every time. Then you move on to the lead sends and service drive, etc. Now, I'm leaving that off because I'm talking about going out and finding these people versus what's already in your CRM in terms of your work plan. So put that to the side. This is going to be at the bottom of the list, these customers that are old leads, dead leads, orphaned clients. And if the term isn't familiar to you, orphaned clients just means a lead that has been dropped by a salesperson because they left the store, right? So you had an employee leave the dealership, all of their existing book of business now becomes orphaned clients because they don't have a salesperson, right? Hence the term orphan. They're not working with anybody anymore. No one has a claim on them. And so they become orphans. You can adopt them, right? Claim them and start working them. If they've never bought something from you before, though, they are going to be colder on a whole, statistically speaking, than previously sold customers, then service drive customers, then lease end customers, in that order. So I hope that was helpful. If you're ever wondering what to do, you're in a situation where you're twiddling your thumbs, you're sitting around waiting for ups and asking yourself, man, is there something I could be doing that's more productive than this? The answer is always yes. And it is those four pools of people, those four lists of people that I mentioned, that you should be calling, you should be going through in order to generate yourself appointments, in order to generate yourself business. This is how you guarantee success in sales, is by being a salesperson and by doing outreach rather than waiting for inbound business leads from advertising, marketing, etc. Now, in another video, I'm going to be talking about word tracks, exactly how we can start to call these customers and work them and get them into the store. And then later on, how to actually convert them into sales once they are in front of you as appointments face to face. So stay tuned for that. If you want to see me teach lessons like this live and ask me questions face to face, then we do have a free training group. The link is in the description. We do live calls once a week where you can, sit and watch in real time as we give away never before heard information in the group. And afterwards, there is a Q&A portion where you can bring these questions you've been struggling with, and I will answer them for you live. So I would love to see you guys in the group. If you're watching this and you found some value, there's just even more value there. We have recorded training, and I'll stop selling it because I can go overboard with that. I'm excited. It is 100% free, and I guarantee you that you will appreciate it and like it. We have over 200 salespeople in there at the moment and growing. I believe I'm not mistaken when I say we're the fastest growing community of car salespeople online when it comes to training and improving ourselves. So with that, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one.